All right, let's get you started with the OrderTrac. So homepage here, ordertracinventory.com, you'll see a create account button. So when you create that, it's going to bring you to the screen where you just need to put in your store name and your personal information, and then check the boxes at the bottom and hit create an account. And that's going to send you an email, and I've already done that, so I won't do that now, but it's going to take you to this screen, the dashboard, where you are completely ready to begin setup. So looking at the dashboard, there's a few helpful links at the top here, demo video link, but we'll also work on setting up some location and account settings first. So we'll come over here to the left-hand side. You'll find location settings. This is where we can do some personalization. And I called this company Amish Furniture Trading Company. The internal name is only used internally, so you can name that whatever, but that's when you see like the location listed in reports, that's what the name will be. So you can either name that your company or just some person. If you have multiple locations, you could have the north side location, south side location, or whatever. Put in address of your store. This is going to be displayed on sales orders, purchase orders, that sort of thing. So we'll just say that right there. We put in the address. We're going to go ahead and select a logo. So I'm just going to select my logo. You can also upload an image of your store, so that can be used on the customer portal. You'll see here, this is the image I'm using. It's a picture of the inside of a store. And we're going to go ahead and select our custom color as well. So we're going to go ahead and do like a blue color. That's our store color. And we're going to go ahead and hit save. And that's going to save our location settings. Also, make sure the phone number, email. Actually, we're going to go ahead and put our website as well. And hit save, and that's it. So now we're going to go to account settings. This is another important page just to make sure account information is up to date. This probably should already be filled out. So that's all there is for account settings. So now let's go look at our vendors. We come over here to vendors, and we're going to see a new vendor button. It's going to be an empty list for you. If you have an existing vendor list and you don't want to put them in one by one, you can just email us the Excel sheet of all your vendors, and we can import them for you. But we'll just go ahead and set up a new vendor now. So we're just going to say this is RH Yoder, and this is a manufacturer. A vendor code is optional. This is just displayed in some reports, but not required. Contact name, address, you can put all that in. I'll skip that for now. Business hours. We'll say if we know a lead time, we can put in days. I'm just going to put in something random here, like 30 days. And there's no finishers yet, so we'll come back to that. Preferred contact method, we'll say this vendor prefers email for sending them purchase orders. We'll go ahead and put that there. That way, when we're sending POs, we know what they prefer. So we'll hit save, and that saves that vendor. So we're going to go create another one called Spectrum Finishing, and we're going to say this is a finish shop, and we'll just do that. And we're going to skip the lead time, not important. We'll say email, and we're going to hit save. I'm going to go back to this RH Yoder one now that we have a finish shop. You can specify default finisher. So if this is always your finisher, you might as well select it, and then that will save us time later on when creating purchase orders. We don't have to select the finish shop. And we're going to add transport. So I'm going to call that Best Shipping Company. This is going to be a transport, and we're going to say this is transport. And we'll say this is the default transport vendor. Once again, this is handy creating purchase orders. We don't have to select this. It'll just be selected by default. And actually, I'm going to add one more, and we're going to call this Yoder Food Co. And we're going to say this is a point of sale vendor. This is handy for when setting up point of sale items we'll do later on. This is for accessories, jams, jellies, foods, that sort of thing. And we're just going to hit save, and that's it. So now we've got a handful of vendors set up. Now we're going to jump over to customers. Let's look at our customer list. It's totally empty. if you have a customer list that you can export from your current system in Excel format, send that to us once again, and we can import that for you. But once again, if you want to just manually enter some customers, I'm just going to enter one John Doe here. There's not a lot of required fields, so we'll just start with that. And I'm actually going to go put in 123 Customer Road and type in a zip code. And when you do that, it's going to automatically fill in the city and the state. And we're going to say John Doe at mailornator.net. That's the email. And you can even put in ratings if you want to. We're going to hit save. So now we have a customer, and that's all there is to it. So this customer, we can see there's no sales history. Go back to our customer list, and we can see there's our customer. So likely you have a customer list. We'll be glad to import that for you. That way you have all your customers already in the system if they want to come back and buy something. So that's the customers. Next, we're going to look at some settings over here. Let's look at categories first. This is a good place to set up all your custom categories. By default, there are some existing categories in the system. Accessories, bedroom, delivery, dining, outdoor, so forth. But you can come in here and add new categories if you want. Just put in a name, description, whether or not it's commissionable. And this is handy just to specify if it's for items, this is like for your furniture, or if this is a category that's only used for like accessories. You can specify that there, and we'll use that later on. So I'm just going to go with the categories we have here right now. Next, we'll look at taxes. Scroll down to taxes, and this is where you're going to set up all your tax codes. So by default, there's not going to be any taxes in the system. We're going to hit new tax, and we're just going to say state tax, and this is going to be 8.25%, and we're going to say save, and that creates the state tax. Then we're going to add another one here just in case you have a couple. We're going to say local tax, and we're going to say this is 2%. Maybe this one only applies sometimes, and we'll hit save. You can even go into tax rules and you can specify when these taxes apply. This is just handy, so whenever you're writing up a new sale, you don't have to figure out which taxes apply. You can just create a rule that says, all right, state tax applies at all locations. It applies for all categories. You can just ignore this if it applies for everything, or if it only applies to some categories, you can do that. And we'll say this tax only applies if it's going to be picked up, like maybe delivery requires other taxes. You can even put in like specific customer zip codes, like this tax only applies if the customer zip code is in this list. And we'll just go ahead and say, we're going to say skip all other rules if this one applies. This just means we don't want to apply others. This will just be kind of a catch-all. And we'll hit save, and that's the state tax. You can set up other tax rules, and there's knowledge base articles on how to do that, so I won't do that here. We'll just stick with that. So next we'll look at sales order policies. So right here under sales order policies, this is where we can customize the kind of the terms and conditions on the sales order. So by default, there's going to be one in here already set up, and we're going to click edit, and it's just called terms and conditions. We can customize when this applies, but right now it's going to apply. It's going to show kind of on the bottom of the sales order. It only applies to sales and not for quotes. And this is the terms and conditions. So you can customize this. Right now it has like a signature field here, but if you want to add more signature, you don't want a signature, or you want more signatures, or you want to make things format them, you can use these fields up here to make it red, or to make it bold, or to make the font bigger or smaller. There's more in the format drop down here. You can choose if it's a heading, or font sizes and all that. So we'll hit save to save that, and that will save our policies. You can add more policies, like if you want to add a specific policy that only applies to quotes, then we'll go back and you just hit new policy, and we'll say this only applies to quotes. We'll call this the quote policy, and we'll just say partial page, and we'll just say quotes are only valid for 30 days. And we'll make this bold, and we're going to make the text red. So hit save, and we're going to go back. Now we've got 2 of them, and that's the policies. And you can rearrange these if you have multiple policies that both apply to sale. You can rearrange them, and the topmost one will be the one that is used. Now, if we go look at a sales order real quick, so we can click on sales orders, and we're going to go to the sales order, and we're going to hit print, and you'll see there's multiple copies here. So store copy, customer copy, delivery copy, so forth. That can help determine which policies are being displayed. So I'm just going to select both copies and hit continue, and this is going to generate the actual sales order policy document. And you can see here on the bottom corner here, this is where those policies are displayed. So this is what the partial page option. When you're creating the policy, if you have the option of partial page or full page, this is partial page. If you select full page, it's going to print on a full page on the next page. So if you have duplex printing turned on, it would print on the back side of this copy. Or if you don't, then it'll just print on the next page. So that's the difference. If we go back to sales order policies, and you see where it says partial page, if we go edit that, you can choose partial page or full page. That's what the difference of that is. So partial page only works well when you have a smaller amount, but if you have a real large amount of terms and conditions, better to go ahead and set that up as a full page. So that's our policies. Now we can go take a look at inventory. So if I go look at our items page, you'll see there's no items in the system. If I filter just our inventory and say, okay, show me the inventory to be ordered, on order, in stock, we'll see it's all empty. There's no inventory. And once again, if you have a list of inventory in Excel spreadsheet, send it to us. We'll be able to import that for you. But a lot of people, if their inventory is not super well documented, they prefer to just start fresh, which I recommend. That way we're not loading a bunch of bad data into the system. So we'll start with ordering a new inventory item. So we click new inventory item, and we can go ahead and put in these details. There's only some fields that are required, but I'll just put in some of these fields. The SKU, this is your stock keeping unit field where you can put in the model number, more or less, of the item. Some stores come up with a system for the SKU. They can have a couple digits of the vendor code and then a dash, and then the vendor's model number and a dash and the color or something. They'll come up with a system to generate their SKUs. But this is all just a model number, basically, for a piece of furniture. That way you can run reports later on to see how many of this particular SKU you've sold. So it's handy, but it's not required. So then the next thing, we'll go ahead and put in a description here. So we're going to put in a 42 by 54 table, and we'll say the stain is OCS, or we'll say it's burnt hickory. I'm just making up these colors. And this is in brown maple wood. You just put in your description here. You can use the description wizard, but we don't have any options set up. If you go to settings and go to items options, you can set up a description wizard, and we'll actually do that here in a second. We'll select the vendor, and you see the default finisher is automatically applied. We can go ahead and put in a cost here if we know that, just to go ahead and start tracking that. Same thing with the finisher, and we'll hit save. You can also hit save, order another if you want, but I'll just hit save for now. And you'll see right now, if I go to be ordered, it's in that to be ordered list. I'm going to go back to the settings and item options real quick just to show how to set these up. This helps you write your descriptions. It's much faster. We'll add an option, and we'll call this table size. And this table only applies to dining room tables, we'll say. And then we'll hit save and add another. And we'll say wood species. And this applies to bedroom, dining, living. We'll not do outdoor. Save, add another. And this will do stain color. And this we will say applies also to bedroom, dining room, living room. And we'll just stop there for now so we don't get spend too much time on it. But if you select table size, then it allows you to put in options. So we're going to say 42 by 54, and then save and add another. You can also hit Control Enter to quickly add more. So we'll say 48 by 48, Control Enter, and then we'll say 54 by 54. And I'm just going to enter to close it. So we've got 3 options. Wood species, same thing. We're going to say brown maple, and then hickory and white oak. Save. We'll just do 3, and then stain color. We're going to add almond, and we're going to add another called burnt hickory and dark coffee. Making these up. All right, now we have 3 stain colors. So that's it. So now we're going to go back to items, and we're going to hit new inventory item again. And this time we're going to, for our price, oh, and I forgot the category I noticed isn't showing. We're going to come back to categories, and we're going to specify that these are used for items, because that's where this comes in handy. Actually, I meant to not do it on this one. Accessories is not denied. That's usually a point of sale item category. Delivery is used for items. Dining, used for items. Food, that's a point of sale. And so this allows those items to show correctly in the list. So we'll say that one's used for both. Sometimes it might be both. All right, so now that we've got that, we're going to go back to items. We're going to create a new inventory item. And we're going to say this one, you don't have to put in a price or SKU. We'll say this one is a bedroom, and we're going to say for the description wizard, this is where you can start off typing if you want. We'll say this is a 6-drawer dresser, and we'll just say it's model number RH-whatever 8823, and you hit the description wizard, and it's going to bring up any of the fields that we specified were applied to the bedroom category. So we'll just hit the brown space, brown maple, almond color, and hit save, and you'll see it just automatically put it in there. If we go back to edit it, you'll see it pre-fills it, and that's it. So we'll choose our details here, and we'll hit save. And so that's it. We're just going to add your inventory one at a time, choose the vendor, and you'll see now that the item is in the system. And if you need to edit it, you can always click the little inventory button here, come back, and we'll say we actually meant to order. There's supposed to be 3 of quantity. So now we've got 3 of those and 1 of those. So now the next step normally would be to create a purchase order. Now I'm going to, let's say these items, let's say you already have them in stock, like these don't need to be ordered because we're just entering this for the first time into the system, but it's already been through the order process. So we can always manually update these. You can either do it in bulk by selecting them and choosing it from here, update status, or you can just do it one at a time. You can say update status, and we're going to say received. Like it's not on order, it's already been received. So when we hit that, it automatically updates the item. If we come over here to inventory and stock, you'll see now that item is in stock. I come back to be ordered, and here's the to be ordered item. So that's how we're going to update or add our inventory. And I'll show you if you do actually want to create a purchase order, or this really does need to be ordered still, we can hit a new purchase order. And this is going to bring us to the purchase order screen where most of everything is already filled out. Here's the item number, the requested pickup date, the estimated arrival date. It's all pre-filled out based on the lead time from this vendor. And you've got the cost. If you need to add any more details to the vendor description, please make 2 inches taller, or something specific for the vendor. Same thing for the finish shop or transport. You'll see the finish shop's already selected because we entered that earlier, so no need to do it again. The transport company, this is our default transport, so it just automatically selects it. No need to pull that again. And we'll see at the bottom, vendor's preferred contact method is email, so we know that they like to have this email to them. So you can click email, and it'll open up a new screen to email it. I'm just going to hit print for now so we can see what it looks like. And it's going to go ahead and generate the document, and it's going to load the screen. And you'll see here, if you can see it, This is the purchase order. It's got our logo on it, and you would have the vendor's information on there if we would have put it in. But it does have our store location information. And it's got all the details. So you can hit print to actually print it out, or if you email it, it'll just automatically mark it as being on order. So I'm going to go ahead and just manually, oh yeah, here it is. Go ahead and mark it as sent. So it's now on order. So we can see that purchase order is created. It was sent, and now it's pending because the item is on order. So if we go back to our items tab, we'll see there's no more items in the to be ordered inventory list because there's nothing. We manually marked the one as in stock and the other we actually just ordered. So it's now in the on order list here with the estimated arrival date, order date, and all that. In stock shows us what's in stock. So that's going to be the process of entering all your inventory. So you'll just have to do it one at a time if you want to make sure everything is right, or as I mentioned before, it can be imported if need be. So now let's take a quick look at receiving items. So as you can see, we have some items that are on order. So that means we have not received them yet. So as soon as the truck comes in, that's bringing the load of furniture to our warehouse or store, there's a special page, the receiving page, which is made to be an easy place to receive all those items, to update the system that these items are now in your possession rather than on order. So that would mark them as being received in the system. So basically you just load up this page, and this is going to be a list of all the items in the system that are on order. So as items are coming off the truck, you can search. A lot of times the PO number is written on the back of on the actual piece of furniture. So you could actually search. We'll say, PO 1000 is the purchase order we're looking for. So you can just type in the entire PO number or just part of it. That doesn't matter. And you'll see when I type in 1000, if I type in something else, you'll see that it disappears. But if I have 1000 in there, that matches the one item I have in the system right now. So that makes it easy to drill down and find the piece that you're receiving. So then you can just click the option here and click Mark as Received. And another way to do this is you can actually print this list off, and it'll print this list of items. It'll include a list of everything that's on order, and it'll include a barcode next to each item. So as items are coming off the truck, you can either sit there and scan them, or you can just mark it with a pen, and you'll see right here, there's just one item on the list, but there's the barcode, that 1000, that's the item ID. So when you print this off, you can just maybe check mark each item as it's coming off the truck, or after you've unloaded the truck, you walk around, check everything that you've just received. Then you can use this box right here just to scan each item. So you put your cursor in here and you just scan each barcode that you received, and it would automatically mark the item as received. So I'll just go ahead and do it manually for now. I'll say mark as received, and you'll notice immediately it's removed from the list. It's no longer on hand, and it's now being marked in the system as no longer on order, but it's received. You can look at the recently received list as well to see, here's the list of all the items I have recently received. So if I go back to the items tab, we'll see no longer is it on order. Now it is in stock. All right, let's move on to sales orders. So now that we have our inventory in the system, we have customers, we have our settings, now we're ready to make a sale. So when we click on the sales orders tab here, we'll see another blank screen because once again, we don't have any sales in the system. So let's start with a new sale. We'll hit new sale at the top. And the first thing we need to do is select a customer. So if it's a returning customer, we can search for them. And if I hit search for John, we'll see John is in the system because we entered them previously. And if I have imported all of your data, then you'll be able to search those customers. Or we can start with a new customer where you can just type in the information. We'll just select John for now. So that selects a customer. And then when we go to add an item to the sales order, we can add a new custom order, or we can search for inventory. So we'll just start with inventory for now because this allows us to search for all of that inventory that we have entered into the system already. So I'm going to say that I'm looking for a dresser. Now, if you know the item ID, some people choose to print a barcode for every item, for all your inventory items, and put it on the piece. That would give you the item ID. But if not, maybe we just know what it is. So we're just going to search for dresser, search the items, and there it is. That's the dresser we're looking for. So then we can go ahead and put in the price if we didn't enter it already. We'll say it's 900, and then we're going to say this, we're going to hold for the customer to deliver later. We'll say it's going to be delivered. And actually, if I say to be picked up, we'll see the state tax automatically gets populated here. So that's how the tax rules kick in, and we don't have to select that. So we're going to hit save, and that adds that custom order, or that inventory item to the sales order. And we can also add a custom order, which would be the same thing. So we'll just say this is a bedroom category to be picked up, and we'll say this is a king bed. Once again, we can use the options here to fast track our description and hit save, and that adds the custom item to the sales order. And I'm going to go add one more item. I'm going to add a charge, and we're going to say this is a $100 delivery charge, and this is a delivery category. And that's it. So we can go ahead and add a payment. We'll say this is a credit card for $250. We haven't set up any integrated payment processors yet, so we're going to hit offline and choose who the credit card is with and hit save. And so that adds the payment. And so then we can go ahead and hit print. I'm going to preview it right now. And this will show us our customized sales order. You can do a customer copy, sales store copy, and we'll hit continue. And we'll see it's got our custom color, it's got our logo, it's got all the details on it, and that's what it's going to look like. So that's the sales order, and that's all there is to it. Now you're ready to start writing up sales. Now I'm going to jump over to point of sale real quick. We're going to look at point of sale items. This is for all your accessories. It's going to be a blank screen. This is something we can also import. So if you have a list of all your inventory that's more traditional, your food, your lamps, that sort of accessory, we can import that. But if you want to click the new button on the top right, and you can add your POS items this way. So UPC item is if it comes with a barcode, you can scan it or type it in, or you can generate one, or you can just type in whatever UPC you want. It just has to be unique for each item. And we'll say this is a floor lamp. And category, it's only going to show those categories that we said were point of sale. And vendor, it's only going to show our POS vendors. And then we're going to go ahead and specify the price is $95, and we have 3 in stock. And you can fill in all these others if you want. It's not required. And we're just going to hit save. Now, one other thing to note here, you can specify the tax per POS item, or we can use tax rules, which will also automatically select the right tax. We'll just say tax rules. All right, so now we're going to go back, and we can add another item. So this time, the first time we just added a regular item, and this is just like, physical items. We're going to hit a charge. I'm going to call this delivery, and we're going to say this is delivery per mile. And I won't do a category. We're just going to say $2.50. This will be $2.50 per mile. And we'll hit save. And then I'll go back. So we got those 2 items. And then also there was another, you could see there's also a gift card option that helps the system know when you sell a gift card, we've got to load it. So I'll skip that for now. So this is our POS items. Now that we have these in the system, I'm going to go back to that sales order real quick, and I'm just going to show another option here. You can hit add from POS, and this is going to search your POS items, and we're going to add a delivery item to this sales order. And so this pulls up that delivery per mile. So rather than having to type in delivery as a separate charge, you can just add it as a point of sale item, and we can just sell it over and over and over again. And you can look up at the end of the year how many deliveries you've sold. We'll say it's 42 miles, and it automatically updates, and we hit save. And so that's another way. I'll delete this one to do deliveries. But also, likewise, you can sell, a lamp or whatever on your sales order. But if you don't want to, so customers just buying an accessory, buying a picture or a lamp or a jar of jam or something, you don't want to write up a whole sales order. That's what the POS register is for. You can also get there by clicking POS register. And this is where you can just scan the item, or we can look it up. I'm going to say that lamp is what I was looking for. There it is. We select it. It adds it to the transaction. We can add more items to the transaction, but we'll say this is it for now. We're going to say they're going to give us cash, $100 in cash, $5 due. Hit save, and that completes the transaction. So then you can print this receipt and send them out the door. So if I hit print, it's going to give us a little preview, and that's what the actual receipt there. You can choose an actual receipt printer, and it'll print out on a regular receipt printer instead of a full sheet of paper. So that's all there is to it for the point of sale transaction. And reports, this is when, once you have sales in the system, once you have inventory in the system, this is where you can come look at the reports and run all kinds of reports like sales taxes collected. So I'm just going to run it for today, and we'll see, okay, on this sales tax, here's the total that we collected for today. So this is an easy way to collect information on the data that we have in the system. You have overdue items. Show me all items that are overdue based on today. There's none in the system now, but all kinds of reports that you can play around with. And the last thing I want to show real quick is your users. So once you've gotten the hang of things, once you've set up the system, you can come in and add other users. So you'll probably want a separate user for each salesperson, or each person that's individually going to be using the system. So first, you may want to take a look at user groups. This is where you can manage permissions. So you can create another user group called salesperson, for example. And this one here, you can specify what they have permission to do. So by default, they have permission to do everything. But maybe you don't want a salesperson to be able to delete inventory, for example. Or you don't want them to see the dashboard revenue, that sort of thing. You hit save, and that saves that user group or that role. And you'll see if I come back into it, you'll see that they don't have these permissions. Same thing with reports. You can specify certain reports that they don't have permission to view. And you can even add an IP address whitelist, which means if you put in your store's IP address, it means that the users in this group can only access OrderTrac from inside your store. They couldn't go home and use it. So that's an option. But you can set up multiple user groups, and then you can set up your users. So just click Add User. You can give them a username. Can be anything as long as it's unique. First name, last name, email, and then select which user group they're part of and hit Save User. That's going to send them an email to give them to where they can click a link in order to log in, and then they'll have access to OrderTrac as well. So that's pretty much it as far as the getting started. That should get you going to get your store set up. You'll see right now I'm still on the trial mode. If you click this, or if you click on your name and click billing, it's going to bring you to the billing page where you can actually put in a credit card and select a plan. So if I click on payment method, we'll see you can enter a bank account or a credit card. And then once you've done that, then you can select a plan in order to make your account go live. And another thing, once you go live, you don't lose any of the information that you've been entering. It just removes the trial mode. And finally, there's a support button on the bottom left. So if you have any issues, you can just type in a message here and hit send. That sends us an email, and we are pretty quick at replying, and we can help you answer any questions that you have as you're getting your store set up.